And so this will be live over on Twitch too?
It should be. Tells me it is. See what Twitch says.
Yeah.
Says live.
Holy shit, look at those two guys over
there. Look at those guys.
All right, well, cool.
Cool.
So that's done.
And Sharesies.
Episode 79.
79.
That's crazy.
Sweet.
I fucked up my my goddamn algorithm again.
I could see that. I did see that.
Dude, nothing like being told to go commit suicide over a football game, but whatever. All right.
Fucking A.
On this chat. So you have both chats up?
Yes.
All right, cool. I'm going to just keep the Twitter one up. But anyway, Bronson is in as per usual.
There we
What's
go.
up, homie?
How's it look on Twitch?
I think it looks all right.
All right.
It looks like really big. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
But
we'll have to fiddle with it. We'll have to see what's up. Probably sending the wrong thing. Probably doing something wrong. Whatever.
Well, no, but also keep in mind, though, so what I'm seeing right now in Riverside is on my laptop, so it's a smaller screen, whereas I'm on my other screen on my gaming PC, so that's why.
All right.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Jingle, baby, let's get it.
Jingle jangle.
Slightly above average gamers, way above average podcast. Welcome to the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast with your hosts, J007TV and Sub1KD.
Good morning and welcome to episode 79 of the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. I am J007TV, joined as always by the homie Sub1KD. What's up, man?
Not much. You know, this morning was a rough start. You're having issues, I think, physical, technical issues instead of software stuff this time. So that's fun. Always a good start to the morning. My wife is off to the city to spend time with her grandmother and her mother doing some shopping. So
you have the kids?
I have the kids. So I've left them to fend for themselves in the house for a bit. We'll see. As long as the fire department doesn't have to get called, things will be fine. Wow. And yeah, but otherwise doing well. It's like Jay's technical issues continue to plague us.
I'm not even muting.
No, I hear you're good.
Son of a bitch, dude.
This will be one of those episodes we just sit there and like. It might be a shorter episode if things keep continuing this way.
Well, and the thing is like my wife's going to have to understand, I have zero fucking patience for this shit. So at some point, I'm going to say, fuck it. I don't care if we can have a conversation and I will go buy a fucking new PC. Like, I'm done, dude. Like this, I don't have patience for shit like this. I want my shit to work.
I understand completely. So yeah, we'll fight through it. It'll be fine. We'll live. The world will carry on. And then let's see what else. Yeah, otherwise just kind of a typical Saturday here. It's been quite the week in Warzone. You've been doing well.
Yeah.
Your squad's been playing well. Yeah,
well, I played last Saturday, so a week ago. Mm-hmm. I got to run with the homie Lizard, and he is a fucking fragger, bro. Let me tell you, he's really fucking good. We ended up getting like 4 wins on the night, one of which was like a duo quads win, where he had like 10 or 12 kills, and I had 3 with 2 deaths, but I bought him at the end. Like I won my ghoulie and I was able to get enough money and get him back. And then we ended up winning a duo quad. So that was pretty dope.
Sweet.
And then, yeah, I mean, it was one of those nights, like I had so much fun playing that way. Somebody even made the comment to me that they were like, yeah, you're not even complaining about all the deaths. I'm like, you know why? Because we're fucking winning. Of course I'm not going to complain about that.
You know, when things are going well, dying isn't too hard.
Yeah, and then, I ended up getting a solo win last night, so that was pretty dope. I haven't played as much Black Ops 6 lately, partially because, one, I've been having a good time on Warzone, but 2, I'm at a point, like, leveling up and trying to get certain guns like gold and diamond that I'm on the sucky guns, and I'll run about 5 or 6 matches and keep getting hit markers with that PPSH. And just be like, fuck this. I'll go play Warzone.
PPSH is definitely one of them things. So it's like it's hard to love. But you know what? It's actually It's not bad in Warzone. It plays pretty well in that mode. I had a lot of fun with it. I got actually got a nice clutch in Area 99 with that thing.
You did?
Yeah, I was picked one up. I don't know, picked one up off a body because heavens forbid I survive in that mode for more than 5 minutes. But just climbed the rooftop and just lasered him with it. It doesn't. It hits pretty. It doesn't hit really hard, but it has a big mag and it shoots straight. So can't complain too much about that.
Well, I just saw a clip of Drade that he posted just this morning where he finished with the Car 98, but he had the PPSH and he hit initial shots on it from a decent distance and then switched to his car and just bop, like got the guy. So, I mean, he got him weak enough. And you want to know what's funny? So last night I'm playing solos, right? And somebody commented, they're like, God, these lobbies are like kind of bot lobbies, da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, truthfully, the one that I won, the victory I had last night, like that lobby was a fucking bot lobby. I swear to God, it felt like it was. Like guys with like no thumbs. But anyway, so I ended up winning that.
I need to find some of those lobbies.
As soon as they said that, let me tell you what I ran into the rest of the evening. I had Drade in one of my lobbies. I had another guy by the name of Diffie Days, who's an iridescent. He killed me last week.
Nice.
And then put me on TikTok. So that was fun.
Send me a link. I want to see it. Yeah,
no, I will. He followed me and then I followed him and I hung out in his chat a little bit this last week. But then it was just Eerie and Crim players the rest of the night. Like it was, but I still did well overall. Like I did well in those lobbies. Like I know I was a net positive on the night. And, I had 2 or 3 8 kill, 2 or 3 7, some 6s and a 12 kill. So like
respectable.
And I'm doing it on this piece of shit again.
Yeah, you had the little breakage in that the aim controller.
So we're closer, and I messaged with Brendan. They're gonna fix that shit. I'm not worried about it. It's got a lifetime warranty. It just happens, right? Like I work for a manufacturer, so I know sometimes shit happens.
I've had a break. It's not my first rodeo. Those pieces are, I will say, they are the weak link. It works really well, and they'll replace them. I actually had them send me a couple of them when I had mine break.
Really?
Yeah, I was buying another controller, and he just sent me a couple of them over, and it was like, cool. So I have backups.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say though. So it took me a little while to get used to running this other one again. But I could tell immediately a big difference in the response time on this aim controller versus that other controller. Just how responsive all the buttons were and the mouse clicks and all of that. So it's like, I feel like I'm slumming right now, dude. I'm not even going to lie. I can't wait because I can't play without this bottom pad. I can't do it. That's my slide. And I am not going in and remapping this fucking thing. No way am I doing that again.
Fair.
So I'm gonna use this. And I mean, this one's got a little bit of stick drift. I mean, in reality though, dude, this has been probably the most reliable controller I've had.
I will say that and I have said this before, even though I am sponsored by AIM, I will say that the what's it?
It's the Fusion Power
Fusion,
A.
Yeah. The Fusion Power A Pro thingy, their $80 top of the line controller is probably the best value in high-end controllers you can get for like, I find that regularly for like $50-$60. It has full features, trigger locks, paddles, everything, it's remappable. It's got, for what it is, for what you're paying, it's a great value. Right, like I gave one away to somebody whose controller broke, but I usually have one sitting in a box somewhere because, heavens forbid something goes bad, or I have a guest come by and they want to play too, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh shit, that just gave me a great idea, dude. We should figure out a way to do like a podcast where like we're in the same goddamn room. No, I'm fucking serious. Like one time, like we meet up and like do the podcast, like.
That would be great.
Like that'd be dope. But we'll talk about that later. But no, I ended up kind of getting getting back used to using this controller and stuff like that. I have become so reliant on my paddles. I don't even use the top
It's an
buttons.
addiction.
It is. It is. I told you how I learned how to use those, right?
No.
I started with the small ones on Rainbow Six, and it was operating the drone. Because, you know, like on Rainbow Six Siege, when you first throw out the drone at the beginning of the match, and, you know, everybody, that's how I learned how to use those paddles. And then eventually I used the X and the Y paddles.
Nice.
So now it's like I can't use my top buttons. So that's why I had to stop using that controller, because it was fucking me up.
Yeah. I bought an Elite 1 and Dirt for Call of Duty, right? Because I was I was tired of being told that I need to jump more, because like bunny hopping and like jump shotting was kind of more of a thing. And if you have just the standard face buttons, that's hard to do because you can't like hop. Like it's hard to jump and, you know, play like aim right at the same time. So you either had to switch to bumper jumper and screw with all that stuff, or you had to buy something with paddles. And so I went and I bought it. And it probably took me like 2 or 3 days of playing a couple hours a day to really like train myself to use the paddles instead of using like taking my finger off the thumbstick. But that was definitely a moment of clarity when I first like coordinated like hitting the paddles and using, you know, being in the gunfight at the same time. And now I can't go back. Every now and again I'll like pick it up and, you know, I'll just pick up the wrong controller and be like, shit, this isn't gonna work. And then or like I'll be at somebody's house and they'll be like, you want to play? And I'm like, okay. And then I'll try it. I'm like, this is terrible. What are you doing?
Do you know Lizard plays Claw?
I can't do Claw.
Motherfucker's gonna have like rheumatoid arthritis before long, dude. He's gonna look
Yeah, he's
like
gonna have that
Lobster
before he's 30.
Boy.
For sure.
I was joking with him about that the other day, but you know, the one thing I wanted to also point out too is, dude, you've been putting out some really good clips the last couple days that I've noticed where you're just fucking clapping cheeks, bro.
Yeah, I put out the highlights before I get just absolutely dumpstered usually.
Yeah, I guess nobody really wants to put out the clips where they got shit on.
Oh man, I hit a great snipe last night. I was playing with Ashman, and we were down in Military, and he was on the cliffs overlooking it, about 250 meters away. And I just one tapped his face and then sent an airstrike on his nuts.
No, it sure's got out in time.
Yeah, it was nice.
So last night though, it was funny because you know how I knew Drade was in my fucking lobby?
Does he shit on you?
No, actually. But he was talking shit in the game chat, the text chat that I could see. So I hopped on there hitting enter like you and Razanon told me to do. So I didn't remap my fucking buttons, which I wouldn't do that anyway because I wasn't playing on that controller. But I told Drade, I'm like, hey, Drade, shut up, bro. Don't let me catch you in the streets. And then sure enough, I drop over, I think at that like little port area that's by across from Old Town. Yeah. And I'm going to get a contract and I throw out a PDS because... Dude, there are so many of those on the ground. As soon as I see one, I grab it and throw it out. It's fucking priceless. I love those things. These things have bailed me out so much. So I threw it out and I hear a shoot and then I hear steps on top of one of the metal buildings. I'm like, okay. And I knew where he was. And then there was a door closed. So I just fucking like slide through the door and turn as he's coming through. And I actually killed him. But in fairness, he was on mouse and key.
That's not an excuse.
For whatever that was worth. I felt like he let me kill him, to be honest. I'm like, this motherfucker just let me kill him. Because, like, there's no way old-ass 46-year-old J007 TV should ever be able to kill Drade. But anyway, so that was actually pretty funny.
Nice.
And it was organic. He wasn't trying to fucking stream snipe like some other people do.
Allegedly. It's just skill on skill, baby.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was pretty fun, man. But you just you said you clutched up a win in Resurgence, right?
Yeah, playing Area 99 had last guy was just like landed on a rooftop. We were all trying to figure out where he was, and I just like climbed a ladder and he was there. I don't know what he was doing. He was looking for something. I think he was looking behind us or expecting us to be farther away because I just popped up there. And it was definitely one of those hello motherfucker moments. and just hit him with the old PPS, or no, what is it, the 919, and just lasered his face right off. It was nice.
Am I still low?
Mm.
Like, do you hear me low?
I turned you up, but you might be a little low.
I don't understand why that's happening. Because I just noticed over on Twitch, which we are live on Twitch, by the way, guys. We did open up a Twitch channel that we're going to be broadcasting to when we stream. And it is twitch.tv/SAG podcast. They wouldn't let me do the name because it was too many characters, and you can't do spaces. So
sounds about right.
Two old guys with SAG.
We're SAG.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So we're up there, and I mean, Sub One was able to get our stream key and be able to do this through the software we're doing it. So like, this is going to be a normal thing. Is we couldn't figure out how to make that work before. Remember, we tried that, but I think we were going about it wrong.
We were going about it wrong. We were trying to balance, like we were trying to stream to both of our, doing all kinds of goofy shit. It didn't work, but dedicated channel doing it. So always love support over there. But we got we got that going, and I've actually got a new camera on order. I've had enough of these webcams being trash. So
I feel like this started with our conversation when you told me you had one of those fancy Sony cameras, and then you tried that, and then it got fucked up.
Yeah, it was. So I have a Canon. I have a pretty high end Canon. Where is it? I have it somewhere here.
That's not a Sony. It was a Canon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, pretty high end Canon with a lot of bells and whistles, and it does video. However, Canon. So if you're ever wondering why they don't why video is so weird on these like DSLR cameras, it's because Japan taxes video cameras at a higher rate than they tax still cameras. And so if you make a camera that can do video, and they define a video camera as 30 minutes or longer of continuous video, then it gets like a extra tax or some bullshit. And so they put a limit on how long you can record for, usually 29 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. And then it stops. And so you have to restart it. And so to get around that, there's software that like auto restarts it and does some other shit. But this camera, I cannot because of that, they don't design these cameras to easily output video. Like, it's designed for still photos, and video is kind of an add-on to it, which is extremely frustrating when you're trying to use it for this stuff. So even though I could make it look really good, in camera, like getting that footage out was a problem. And I tried, I had different software. There's software that'll do it, and it's kind of bootleggy, and it's just a mess. And I just could not get it to give me the quality that I want. Sony so Sony has basically said, I don't know if they changed the rules or if Sony just says, screw it, we'll pay more. We'll charge more. But Sony has put out a series of cameras that actually does support continuous video. And so I've got one of those coming in.
So I thought that all the current gen ones pretty much did that. Like I thought that's what a lot of those the IRL content creators use. Like, is that?
Yeah, I mean the higher end ones, but those are like $1,200, $2,000+ a piece. Like,
yeah,
they're not cheap.
Well, I mean, and that's just the base camera. Then you start talking about the lenses, which are hundreds of dollars each too. My guy that's what he was using. And I mean, it's so funny how when you start talking about streaming and stuff, and how much money you put into your setup and just the quality of things, all of his shit was top notch, dude. It was top shelf, right? But I had a conversation with one of my friends we were both mods for him, and he's like, you can still have a good looking cam with that 922 that you spent $100 and however many dollars on, if you work on your lighting. And that was something that took me a few years. Now I feel personally, I have my lighting the way it should be. I've got one here, one there, and one up there. So there's no shadows or anything like that.
Yeah. I'm not thrilled with my lights that I have, but that'll be another step. But right now I have the issue of color saturation on my end that I'm not thrilled with, and that's just it's in the sensor, but it does a good, I don't know, issues. So, got a new camera coming in. Since I can't get my hands on a fucking graphics card to save my life without paying double MSRP, and
which one are you trying to get?
I think the 5070 Ti is what I'm going to go with.
Well, of course, you're trying to get the current gen graphics card that just came out a couple.
Well, you can't get the old ones; they're all gone.
The 40 series?
Yeah, they're all gone. Like I'm fine. They're double MSRP too when you find them.
No shit.
Yeah, I've been watching. They're very hard to find.
Have you checked Micro Center?
I don't have Micro Center,
but they ship.
No, they don't. Not much. A lot of their deals they don't ship.
Really?
Mm-hmm. In-store only. Or you buy it online and it's in-store pickup.
Well, I will tell you this. Check out the one here in Richardson. And if you find something and you buy it, I'll fucking go pick it up for you and then ship it to you.
All right. I'll take you up on that.
I got you back, bro. Yeah. Like if you shop at the Richardson, I think it's Richardson, the Richardson Micro Center, I'll go over and pick your shit up as long as you work it out to where I can do that.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Because I mean that's where I bought my gaming PC. I ended up selling a fucking. Did I tell you this story yet? Like I ended up selling a rifle that I bought, and it was a semi-auto based on the AR platform 308. It was
nice. AR-10.
DPMS G2 SAS, and it was the same platform that they use like for SWAT and shit like that. Mm-hmm. And I ended up selling it to a friend so I could get a PC because I was tired of not having FOV. And then one of my other friends that talks a whole lot got a PC before I did. And I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to sit here and listen to this dude talk about how great it is to have FOV when I don't. So I was like, fuck this. I'll sell that shit. I don't even shoot it anyway.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. No, it's good. God, I haven't bought anything in forever. Just kind of sitting on it. California sucks for that stuff. But But yeah, no, otherwise, yeah. So new camera coming in. So next week, hopefully it'll balance a little better. Looking at that, speaking of cameras, have you decided where you're dropping on Verdansk yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's gonna depend on where the circle is, but yeah, I'll be dropping up there by the dam.
Okay. God damn, huh? That's a weird that's an unusual start.
No, because here's the thing. Here's the reason why. It's going to depend on where the buy stations are, if they're similar. So we would drop down there where that restaurant was with all those little houses and stuff like that, that little village or whatever.
Yep.
Drop there and then rotate up to the dam. Actually, the buy station was down low, if I remember correctly. Get our loadie and then move. So
okay,
either there or Prom. Like there's over in Prom East. If train station was open, which I'm told it's not going to be, we would drop there.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yep. My favorite rotation that we used to do was Prison, because Prison always had that chopper. Mm-hmm. So drop Prison. There's usually another team that will try and go for it, so it's a race to get to the chopper. And then you park the chopper on the roof, on the top of the turret. And then you loot up. You can usually get your load out real quick, and then we would take it and look at the circle, right, depending on where it goes. Especially if it's kind of in the center area, was like the best, because then you could take the chopper and terrorize Nakatomi Plaza. You could terrorize Hospital. You could terrorize wherever, and it was like we would like fly over. I would try and bop everybody off the roof with the chopper, and at the same time, the rest of the squad would hop out on whatever rooftop we were going to take over. And then I would, we would either keep the chopper. Like if we cleared the roof, we'd keep the chopper, or, I would run around, because I was a pilot. So I would fly around and try and like clear that roof off. And then, we'd own whatever POI we landed, we took over.
Never liked the way, even the OG helicopter, I've never liked the way that Call of Duty has done vehicles compared to like Battlefield. I didn't really like to fly a whole lot. I mean, I will now if I have to, but like I try to stay out of the vehicles. But that's what a lot of people did. And you know what I just really thought about? So going back to Verdansk is going to be way different for me for a lot of reasons. One, I'm a better player than I was there. You know, I've gotten used to like Gulag, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Number two, I'm going to have FOV, which I did not have there. I was on console. And number three, we play a lot faster now as far as like contracts and shit like that. We didn't do that. Like we've always we would maybe do a scabby. And that was it. We didn't do most wanteds. We didn't do bounties really or any of that. So adding that into our game is going to make that experience just different on its own.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's going to play different. It depends on what they do. Now, you know, a lot of what we've been hearing are things like there's not going to be a lot of extraneous ways to move around the maps without vehicles, which kind of limits, I think, some of that, which will be good. I think Verdansk would have a really hard time playing well with redeploy balloons or redeploy, you know, either the portable ones, whatever those are.
I'm just kind of indifferent about the balloons. Like, if I'm being honest, I know a lot of people are like, you know, they either love them or hate them. I've been just kind of indifferent about them. The only thing that I never liked is that you didn't get a notification that people are dropping in the same way that you get when someone comes out of the gulag or drops out of the helicopter or whatever. Like you don't get, like, that's the one thing that I didn't like about that. But yeah, like, did you see Modern Warzone did a poll? I don't remember what the results came about whether balloons would be in Verdansk. I mean, based on what we know, they're not
going to
be there. No.
Yeah. Which I think is the right choice. You know, here's the thing. I think they served their purpose. I think they were good in Al Mazrah because Al Mazrah was designed for it. And movement was extremely limited, right? So you weren't moving much anyways, and the vehicles were terrible. But they were, you know, they came from Caldera because Caldera was terrible, right? It was a terrible map. And I really think that it's going to be a very big change for a lot of players who are used to being able to throw, you know, they're used to not having to think about rotations ahead of time because they can always throw one down or run to one and get out of a jam.
Well, and that's, let's be honest here. Or, you know, I'm not going to sit here and claim like I'm a great player or anything, but I will say this. That is what I do good. I do rotations and picking the circle good, and I learned that on Verdansk. Or, you know, and so that's part of our game, and I'd like to get back to doing exactly what you said, rotating early, being able to read circle, and like not relying on the balloons or anything like that. So I guess you're right. I think, you know, that not having those are going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not going to have a choice.
You're not going to have a choice, right? And it'll be nice because, you know, it's always frustrating to me when, you know, all of a sudden you look up and you just see like guys dropping in on you and they're fully kitted because they hit a balloon and no, you know, there's no sound, right? No sound is bad enough as it is. No notification, nothing. And it's like, you're just, you are at a high point and all of a sudden there's guys coming in hot on you, right? Like, and there's no warning versus, you know, the old day, you know, Verdansk where, yeah, that can still happen to you, but they're coming in on a chopper. You have the ability to see them coming, right? And as a result, one thing I would love to see is an improvement to launchers and bringing launchers back in as a viable thing to have.
I want the C4 to be good too.
Yeah, but like, you know, being able to grab, you know, see a chopper and just get a launcher out of a box and be like, all right, I'm gonna pop this off and see what happens. I saw somebody last night was trying to kill us with a Joker.
A fucking Joker?
Yeah.
Who has that in their
I don't know, but I shot him in the face a couple of times. It was great.
That's fucking hilarious.
Terrible.
So do you think they'll put launchers in the ground loot again?
I would like that, but they got to be they got to be worth it. Like, I think one of the worst things they did with vehicles is they made it so it's like it doesn't kill you when you blow them up, right? Like right now, if you blow up a chopper, everybody can just jump out. It's just disabled. That sucks, dude. That just ruins the risk reward aspect of taking a vehicle.
It's what you've talked about the last 2 or 3 episodes. It takes away those moments, right?
Yeah.
Like That moment of, haha, I just blew up 4 of you sons of bitches flying through at this helicopter. You know, there you don't have those moments really right now. So
it's like taking a vehicle should be a risk. Like it should add risk to it, where if you get blown up, you know, and they changed it in Verdansk. I think it was during 84 where it wasn't an immediate kill. The pilot or the driver was killed and everybody else downed, but the vehicle still blew up, right? And then in Warzone 2, they introduced disabled mechanic. And so you would get hit with this, you would get hit and it would you would be sent to like if you were flying, because we were in the Vondel all the time, where we would take the chopper from, a lot of times we take the chopper from the south end of the map and we would go north, and the goal would be to get to university or whatever, depending on the circle. And we would routinely get blown up by something. More than once, we'd have loadouts drop on us. It was that was always fun. But it would be only the pilot would be downed. Everybody else, you know, would just parachute out like nothing happened. And I think for a while, even the pilot could jump out. And it was what's the point, right? What's the point of destroying a vehicle if they just get out and then you got to still fight them, right? And it's they've got to get back to you know, because vehicles, they just don't carry a lot of risk. If it gets blown up, big deal. You get out, move away from it, and, you know, you carry, you know, throw smokes and carry on. And I think we've got to get back to this idea that, hey, you get in a vehicle, it's going to be a good point A to point B transit, and especially a chopper, you can do some damage with it. But if they're ready for you, you're in trouble. And I think we just got to return the risk reward balance to the game. I think, and it's not just in vehicles, because that has been missing from Warzone for a long time. They have done everything to get rid of to remove the risk of what you do.
Yeah, and the consequences. But I'm going to go ahead and say this, and this is probably going to be unpopular. Big deal. I say what I want.
Okay, I'll clip it.
But I think that if you put a trophy system on a car, it should have a life cycle. It should not be a constant thing. It's just to be able to throw that on there and then just drive all over the map for the entire match, and that trophy system still be there. No. So you know how if you throw out a what's the turret,
sentry turret,
sentry gun. You throw out a sentry gun, it goes away after a little while.
Yeah,
that's what that trophy system
maybe a 2-minute timer or something that's something like that. Reasonable. You know, we used to always have a couple of turrets, a couple of those things in the backpack, and you just throw them on there.
Yeah. And then the other thing, so last night I was running solos and I had a guy trying to run me over, but I happened to be in an area where there was trees, and I was like, I am not going to get out in the open and let this fucker run me over. He kept trying to, but I just get on the other side of the tree, and I ended up fucking killing him out of that car, because
you can't plate while you drive.
No, well, you can't plate while you drive, and also too,
yeah, fair. Yeah, no, what else? It's going to be interesting to see what other changes. Ghost of Hope was talking about this, you know, and kind of mirrors some of what we've talked about, is that the water's at the bottom. So the south end of the map by port and stuff, the water down there will be swimmable, which if you've played enough, it's definitely a good thing, because if you look at how many times your loadout has they've dropped it in the water or right at the edge of the water or on those rocks that you can't maneuver on, right? You know, that seawall at the bottom.
Yeah.
Take one wrong step and you're down this little rock and you can't move because it's supposed to be out of map. Or there's that little water inlet between port and the edge of Promenade, where because water was always out of map, right? So it was an out of map area. So you couldn't parachute, for example, depending on the flight path. If you were trying to go to port or you're trying to go over there, you couldn't cut the bottom of the map like that. Because if you did, you ended up floating how do you put it? You ended up floating over that dead space, and it would time you out a lot of times, you know?
Yeah, insta fucking death.
And so, because you only had a few seconds, so depending on where you're out, depending on how you did, you could get into trouble there. So they've cleared that part out. I think that's a positive change and gives some ability to utilize some water on that end of the map for, but not strategic. It's not strategic unless the circle happens to land there, which hopefully it doesn't very much.
Right.
But I think it's one of those things of like they're making some improvements as we go, in the right way. But it's not like the canals are full or dam is melted, right? And you could just swim around up there.
They might be saving that for like a future season because if I remember correctly, it was either this game or Blackout. I can't remember which one, but they ended up flooding part of it where like there
Blackout.
It was Blackout then, yeah. Because I remember like they flooded like a good part of the map where like
we had fissures.
What?
In Verdansk 84, remember they opened up all the big cracks and in downtown.
Uh-huh.
Like that's what
right.
we got. We didn't flood. Because Warzone, until Warzone 2, we never had swimming. So if they flooded, it would just kill everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Stupidly.
That's true.
Did Blackout have swimming?
I'm trying to remember. I feel like it did. Yeah, because if you could be out on the yacht, so like they brought they brought the yacht map from Black Ops and put that as a POI out there, and you could, if I remember correctly, you could jump off of that and swim to land.
But you couldn't fight underwater?
No, I don't think you could fight underwater. Man, golly, that's been like 7 years. I can't remember.
What do you think of water? What gunfights in water?
I mean, that's something I'm kind of indifferent on, but I would just want it to work all the time. I don't want to accidentally move my thumbstick one way and then I can't pull my fucking pistol out. Like, have you had that happen where like, and it might not be the thumbstick, it might be another button, but like,
if you do a weapon swap, your pistol goes away and you can't get it out again. You have to surface and then go back down.
Yeah, I don't like having to do that. Like, if you're underwater, you should be able to just have your pistol out the whole time.
It should be like pulling out your knife.
Yeah,
like it should swap that out. That mechanic that's how the mechanic should work. Is if you are underwater and you swap your weapon, because there's a lot of times to pull out your weapons, right? You want to hit the surface. You don't want to have to hit the surface and then swap guns if you're going to fight somebody on land, right? But if you're if you're underwater or like you want to reload your gun before you make your way to land, but if you are interrupted with that by somebody there, right, comes up or jumps in the water with you, you should be able to pull your pistol out.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big miss on the water fight right now, is that you can't get your pistol back out. I love that they gave us a pistol again.
Yeah, it's better than Al-Mazrah.
Yeah, so that we can actually like have a decent fight. Yeah. But there's some mechanics that are missing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, it does also suck too that pistol only has 10 rounds.
I think it's a viable balance. I think I honestly would actually prefer to have that be the only pistol, like the only weapon that works underwater, because as much as our Warzone dad friends love their water fights, I think, water fighting as a primary mechanic is detrimental to the game overall.
It shouldn't be a focus. It should just be an add-on.
Yes. So it would be nice if you just got a underwater pistol. Maybe they make some bullshit about how it's an underwater variant that you just can only work underwater. And that's why come up with some bullshit, right? Like they can do that.
I wish you could have a spear gun. That'd be dope. Like those
something like
spear
that
guns from like the James Bond movies that they've used several times.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen that. And so I reached out to my contact because I saw a few posts about saying there was no water in Verdansk, and I reached out and they were like, "Don't believe everything you read." And I'm like, "Fair enough." So
yeah, I think the southern end of the map has water on it, and you can see in the attack map they released, you can see they've added they've increased the square of the map. So if that's the full attack map, the bottom end extends a little bit more than it used to, which implies that water would be swimmable. And so they'd probably do some reworking of like the rocks and that bottom area so that there's ways to get in and out of that. Hopefully rocks are climbable. That would be nice. That would be an addition that we need in Verdansk for sure.
Dude, do you remember where back in the day, like early on, if you got stuck at the bottom of fucking dam?
Oh yeah. I have a win from that. I literally had we were working our way north, and it was like there were 3 teams left. I spotted them at the top. We killed them, and then we climbed up to the top, that top left corner where it's just like, there's just a rock wall and there's only one way up and the gas closed that way off. Mm-hmm. And then there were two teams down below. They fought each other and then the winners were just sitting there like being bitchy and they couldn't they had nowhere to go when the circle pulled to us. So
yeah, that's fucking frustrating.
It was a cheesy win. It was cheap. I wasn't going to give it back. We got a good laugh out of winning that one.
Dude, we got in that same exact area. We got a 2-kill win. Literally, our whole fucking team had 2 kills. And you want to know what's funny? Seriously, I am not shitting you. If I remember correctly, we dropped all the way over at Prom East. We just rotated and never saw anybody, but the guys we saw, we did kill, and we ended up getting a win. Like, we weren't ratting. Like, we were legitimately moving on the map. But let's reshuffle that list I sent you. We could talk about those 4 that shut down here in a little while, just because we're already kind of on Verdansk. And so there's been a lot of conversation about the weapons that are coming back, like the Kilo, the AMAX, the Grau, and the HDR. And we touched on this a little bit last week, I think. But do you think they're going to function the same way?
No, nothing will, because it's not the same game. However, I do think that they will adapt them pretty well. I think it'll be close enough. Like, it won't be 1-to-1, right? It'll never be 1-to-1. We're on a different engine. There's different physics involved here and there. But they've done it. I will say this. I will give credit where it's due. They have been doing a good job in the last month or two of trying to bring the behavior of guns across the board more in line. The PPSH, notwithstanding, you can't fucking see anything when you shoot that. They have been working on bringing guns in line with Warzone 1 feel. And they have taken so much of the visual nonsense out of the MW2 and MW3 guns that they all, people are discovering that those guns actually feel good right now. And sometimes they feel better than the Black Ops 6 guns. Like, there are plenty, I'm seeing Static, I'm seeing the Horus, I'm seeing the Shroud, Striker. I'm seeing the Striker, I'm seeing a lot of guns come out of the woodwork as people go back and say, look, they're still good. Like, they were good. They've been buffed. The attachments have been, adjusted. The visual effects have been adjusted. The delay zone mechanics have been removed from most of these. They are definitely moving in the right direction. And I think that they understand what they need to do. However, it's still not going to be the same. They're not going to sound perfect, right? So there'll be a lot of people that are complaining. A lot of complaints will come out because it's not exactly 1-to-1, right? It just is. Welcome to reality.
5 years ago, and it can't be. I think the biggest thing that I'm thinking about in terms of like these new weapons that come out is they just have to be viable. Like, they have to be decent enough to be able to use. Because if
they'll be meta,
but hypothetically, like, if they're not, what happens? Like, if those guns are not like, but it's. But honestly, though, dude, it's not like they don't have a track record. We've talked about this several times of bringing weapons back that weren't worth the shit. Now, I hope that because they know the importance of Verdansk and this launch being good, like, I hope that those guns are viable and good. And I hope what this brings to Warzone is, I'd like to see the absolute, well, yes, but I'd like to see the absolute meta category, like, go away. I want to see the absolute meta category go away and just have a meta category where you got 3 or 4 weapons from each class that are good. If they do that, that in and of itself will make the game significantly better, because it gets so fucking boring. Like, I'm so bored with the Cypher right now, dude. Not as bored as I was with the XM4, but like, I'm just bored of it, dude. But you still, like, if you're talking bullet for bullet, like we've talked about, you kind of still have to use it if you want to be competitive.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like, how do I put it? It's not as heavy a meta as we've had before. It's definitely not.
I'll agree with that,
it's not as bad as we've had before. We've had meta like the RPK meta or the XM4 meta or a few other ones over the years where there's just you can't run anything else. The Cypher, it has some drawbacks. It's not quite as crisp as it could be. So I think we're not in a horrible spot necessarily with it. And the fact that we have a variety of snipers that so it's like at range, that thing is not as deadly as it could be. Like the XM4 was just absurd because you had 100 friggin' rounds and no recoil. So, as a sniper, you just had no chance at all. But, I routinely will they'll pepper me, but I'll crack them or down them one shot with with a sniper, and it's, and it backs them off. So at the very least, like there's checks and balances right now. And so there's different, and it opens the door for different ways to play.
Yeah.
The SMG meta remains very open. In fact, I think we might have the most open SMG meta ever in Warzone right now, because as people discover other guns that we haven't used in a long time, it's becoming apparent that there are a lot of viable weapons out there in the SMG category that are very usable and very much competing for the top spot, depending on how you play. And I think that's key, right? Like if you just want to stand and run and gun, you run the C9. If you want to be mobile, there's like 4 different, MW2 or MW3 guns, like the Fennec or like whatever. If you want to just murder people, the Striker is good. The Shroud is really good right now. Like that has it's always had a ridiculous TTK. It's always been ridiculous. It just has had shitty movement, but they fixed the movement penalties. And people are figuring that out.
I still think overall they've done a good job on the SMGs since Modern Warfare 2. Like since
it's been their strong suit. It's clearly what they want. They want everyone to fight with fight close range.
Yeah.
Which is a resurgence trend.
Well, exactly. I was just about to say that. Like, look where their focus has been the last few years. It's been on resurgence, and you have to have good SMGs and resurgence. So I understand the thought process there. But what I will say is like overall, it's good to see the ARs getting back into the meta though, and being the absolute meta. Because like for a while it was nothing but fucking battle rifles and LMGs, and that's boring as shit too. Like the STG,
and it's always one.
Good.
It was always one, right? There was just one battle rifle or one
the Cronin Squall or whatever the fuck. Yeah,
I hope with the AMAX, so it's like the AMAX is coming and the Kilo is coming, and those are 2 very different guns with very different attitudes and play styles. One is easy to use and kills slower. The other one is more challenging to use but kills faster. And if they are holding true to themselves, to their game, and the kind of like if they understand and they are willing to embrace the heart of those 2 weapons, right? Like I think that yields a really positive situation where we start to have a variable meta of like different kinds of guns, especially with ARs.
Yeah, and I think that the broken metas have been one of the biggest contributing factors to the state of Warzone and it being in a bad state. Like honestly, so yeah, I agree with you. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope these guns are good, because if they're not,
they will be. Come on,
yeah,
they will be.
I hope.
I hope they're not broken. I hope they aren't broken. I want them to be like, I want the AMAX to kill about as fast as the Cypher, but have, a decent amount of recoil. I want them to rein in the recoil of the AK just a little bit from where it is right now. I want them to bring the Kilo should feel like the Kilo should slot right in with the Series L and the kind of the Cypher in terms of control and handling, but have the TTK, have like the Series L TTK, which is just a little bit slower, but you don't miss as many bullets.
You know what they need to do also? They need to make the Krig great again. That gun is dog shit.
That's terrible.
It's fucking awful, dude. Like I put it in the SVD category. Like it's fucking terrible.
I last night I had to pick one up because there was just nothing, and I picked up the 100-round purple version.
Oh yeah,
you need 100 rounds to kill somebody because it misses so many. Yeah, and it's like the Krig was just a disaster. The Krig was not a good gun to begin with. It was just not it was
not this iteration. It was in Verdansk 84. It was good.
Yeah, for a minute.
Because I think I had like a team wipe with that. I had a like a
Yeah,
TikTok
it was never
expert.
good though. It was never like there was always a better gun. When the Krieg was good, there were better guns. It was never like its own like everybody ran the Krieg. It was just kind of there and people would run it, but there were other options too. So I think, it probably is where it's supposed to be, where it's like it could be good maybe if you built it exactly right, but it's not as good as everything else.
Isn't it crazy how fast they hit the Model L? Like, remember, it was like the meta for like a minute, and then they nerfed it. And I mean, it's still decent. Like, I'm getting kills with even the ground loot one, but I'm not running it in my loadout. But like, isn't it crazy how fast they nerfed that? Like it right after. I mean, so it was the XM4. They let that go for like fucking however long, and then the Model L took over, and it was like a minute, and then they nerfed it.
Well, the Model L was very comparable to the XM4, but it didn't have a 100-round mag, and it didn't have the buffer weight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the XM4 killed remarkably fast compared to other things that were out there. You just had 100 rounds and you didn't miss any bullets because it didn't move. Like that's what, the sheer volume of fire you would put on target and times that by 4 with a squad. Like, holy crap, right? Like you would just obliterate everybody. I think that was the biggest problem with the XM4, right? Nobody died, right? Or nobody lived through it because you could just never lay off the trigger. I had like a 2 or 3 guy wipe, and I didn't take my finger off the trigger. I just raked one down and then just switched to the next target and just kept shooting.
Yeah.
And so I think it's one of those things where it's like they got that 100-round mag just makes no sense on that gun. To me, I don't understand why they did that. It didn't need it. If it was 60, I don't think it would have been as big a problem. I think people would have picked other guns in addition, like they would have enjoyed other weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's kind of, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But let's do a quick little reset here. This last week, we created a Twitch page. So it's twitch.tv/SAG podcast. So the SAG podcast. If y'all would go over and hit the follow button over there, I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to be broadcasting both here on Twitch as well as, here on Twitter, as well as over on Twitch at the same time.
Yeah, we'll be on both.
Yeah, we will be on both moving forward. And I mean, what we're really looking to do is we're looking to hit that affiliate status over there. So that way we can,
so that way Sub can afford his new camera.
Well, not just that. So we want to upgrade our own shit. But I mean, honestly, I want to be able to get to a point to where we could do giveaways or maybe even sponsor a tournament, those kind of things, right? Like, that's kind of what we're looking to do. So if y'all would hit that follow button over there, that would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, dude, so we're like 12 days away from Verdansk. Like 12 days. These next 12 days are going to fucking drag, dude.
Yeah, they are. Well, you're traveling, though, for some of it, right?
No, I have a conference that's local, so I'll be gone 2 nights this next week, and then I'll be local the following week. And I took off Thursday the 3rd and Friday the 4th, so that way I can play Verdansk all day. Yep.
I took off. I told my wife I'm busy on the 3rd. I'm just doing it.
Maybe we can get some games in, actually.
We should.
For a change.
We absolutely should.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
What else? We have Verdansk. So what else have we heard about Verdansk? I feel like a lot of it's been talked to death. It's really hard to pin down what else is, what other rumors are new. I know we'd originally had questions about some of the mechanics in the game coming back and forth, but I think the mechanics will feel the same movement wise. And then what else?
Like, how much of the Resurgence cheese do you think they're taking out?
All of it.
So you think no more Gulag tokens, no
All go away.
Jailbreaks, none of that?
No.
I mean, that's cool. Do you
they might
might
do like a once in a while jailbreak. Like I could see them bringing that back once in a while, like kind of like a random event. But hopefully none of these like last second ones where they bring everybody back at the end. For a while, they were bringing them back in like the second circle or something, which was, if you're gonna jailbreak people, I guess that's a reasonable time to do it.
It ain't the last circle.
Yeah, but I think they've learned their lesson that BR can't be treated like Resurgence. Like there's a there's a market for it. There's a market for BR. There's a market for people that want to play that. And I think they've done a better job. I will say that I feel like they've done a better job lately of pulling back on a lot of that. Like, I don't see very many, of the pizza boxes on the ground. I don't see very many. I think they've completely gotten rid of the reentry packs, right? I haven't seen one of those.
No, those are gone. But the one thing that you do see a lot of, and they're also in the buy station, is the gulag tokens, which I've been picking those up and taking those. Especially, like, that's a great strat to use for, like, solos. Like, if you,
if you're playing solo, token, you need to. It's your chance to keep going.
Yeah, and so I've been picking those up. Did you see that clip I posted? Like, I was fucking irritated, dude. Like, I think I had 3 chances in the gulag, and I died all 3 times in about 30 seconds. It was one of those blender matches, dude. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, of course you're going to give you a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance. Oh, and by the way, your fucking teammate can buy you back for $3,000. Like, it was like one of those, like, raw, like, rage-induced moments where I just was fucking on it, and somebody clipped it, and I just decided to go ahead and post it. And fucking, perfect. God, I was tilted, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still going to see. I don't know if they're going to change the price of the buyback, though. I could see them keeping that at 3,000, maybe 3,500.
I want to see it go. Honestly, I know it's probably unpopular, but I'd like to see it go to 5.
I don't think
4 at the lowest.
No.
What?
Okay, I'll tell you that if they do, there will be so much cash on the ground, it won't fucking matter.
There already are. So check this shit out. So I was looking at my combat record the other day. You want to know the most cash I've spent in a game? $68,000.
That's a lot of cash. How many loadouts did you buy?
At least 2. I bought some UAVs, teammate redeploys, fucking like just and you know what the thing is here's why, dude. There's so many contracts on the ground. Like I think honestly raising it to 5 would kind of slow it down a little bit. It would take just a little while longer. You know what I mean? Like I can do 4. I think 3 is too. It's not enough. Honestly, it's too easy.
I mean, 4 is probably a sweet spot, but I think they're going to. I think they're going to at least ease us into that opportunity, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think they're going to straight up jack the prices up to the moon.
So, all right. So, do you think that we'll still be able to buy weapons in the buy station? Because I do like that. I like being able to do that.
I think so. I've heard buy stations are going to a list again instead of tiles, which I think is flipping awesome. I am so tired of having to sit there and visually stare at the buy station to figure out where I want to, like, what I want to buy. I hope they get rid of limited items in the buy station and just have fewer things total. Just limit what you can fucking spend your money on, please.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't remember who posted it. Somebody posted a clip from a dev or something. I can't remember who it was. It didn't last long, if I remember right. But I think they had the buy station arranged where you had a list on the left side.
Yep.
But
Those goes to Hope, I think.
Yeah, but you could go over and buy your teammates on the right so that they were 2 side-by-side menus, which I think would be a good fix, like a good transition. And then, of course, if you have the loadout at the bottom, right, you just hop into the buy station, 1 tap, and you're at the loadout. You buy the loadout and get out. Get in, get out.
That's one thing that I've gotten better about, but just always really slow in the buy station. Like, my buddy Riddick was like, God damn, you're slow in the buy station. Like, trying to get people back and stuff like that. Because, like, you see, like, those really good players, they hit that buy station, like, click, 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 boom, got everything they want, and they're out of it. In the same amount of time it takes me to open it, look and see where, because it's like, I don't want to buy the wrong thing. It's so funny, dude. Last night, King, we were going to buy loadout, right? And we dropped our cash for him. And I was like, all right, we can get loadout. We dropped cash. And then all of a sudden, no loadout comes. And I'm like, am I fucking muted? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, where's the fucking loadout? And King's like, yeah, I accidentally bought a UAV. This motherfucker was 100 meters down the road trying to go get some cash so we could come back and buy a UAV or buy a loadout. It was fucking hilarious. So he bought the wrong shit.
Well,
so, like, that's
do you remember during Cold War where they put the RCXD in the buy station and they put it below the loadout, so everybody on controller who is used to just hit the loadout, tap up on the button, and you're on and it rotates down, and then you can just buy your loadout. We're buying RCXDs instead and being like, fuck, dude, seriously? I'm one of them.
Any more worthless score streak in fucking Verdansk and Warzone than the RCXD?
The SAM turret.
Yeah, I have gotten a couple kills from that, but yeah, overall,
how do you get a kill with a SAM turret?
So, all right, let me ask you this: like, do you think the number of helicopters?
What does it do? What does it fucking do besides sit there and announce to the entire map that you've put it down? The entire map hears you when you put it down, and there is no relation to where you are on the map.
It does shoot down the counter UAVs. I think it also shoots down the buy station.
All of like 8 of them that go up in a days of playing, but they are everywhere. I get those things 1-to-1 with every other score streak combined out of a box. I open a box. It is a 50% chance of a SAM turret or something else.
But my question to you is this: like, I think if there were more helicopters on the map, those would be more useful, but you don't hardly see anybody flying in helicopters very much anymore.
There's only like 2 of them or 3 of them, and they're, and everyone's so terrified of picking them up.
There's no little birds. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you got the little birds back, which is supposed to be back based on the graphic.
They showcased them, so let's see if they fly right.
Yeah.
I've seen them though. I've seen them fly well. I've seen those people fly. I've flown though. I fly those sometimes. There's just, there's no point in flying one. There's no point in taking the chopper anymore because you have balloons.
Yeah. So that's why the SAM turret's pretty much worthless.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're good early game. Like as soon as you land, maybe kind of thing.
Again, what's the point? Like it's, Why would you land somewhere and take the little bird versus, you're gonna find a portable zip line inevitably if you land and loot somewhere. Like I guess the only thing that would make it important is if you just decided not to loot.
Right.
Like, I just can't for the life of me wrap my head around why you would take a chopper somewhere when you don't need to. Like, there's no point. There's no benefit to it aside from maybe you decide to just yank out of an area and redeploy across the map.
Right.
But I don't know. I think I've seen on the big map, maybe 4 or 5 people flying the chopper at any total. And one of them I shot down and nobody died because, as discussed, vehicle disabled, hop on out, parachute away, live to fight another day.
That's hilarious.
Stupid.
That's hilarious. Man, I think what's going to be great is I think this coming week we're going to get patch notes for the next week, right? Like, don't we usually get those like for the season?
We get
patch notes
a blog post
or a blog post. I'm sorry.
We should get an overview this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday. I would imagine
by Tuesday of the following week we should get the patch notes, right?
Yeah, they've been giving them to us the day before.
Yeah.
So that's
going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So. We kind of shuffled around what we were going to talk about, and I want to bring this up because this is something that you were on from day fucking one, right? Like day one when Activision started taking these cheap providers to court. You were the one person on Twitter and everything, and that I know that really looked at the nuance of what was happening and how impactful that case was going to be. And if I remember correctly, you even said it might not happen immediately, but things are going to start happening like over time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about the cheap providers or distributors that were shut down. They just shut down 4 more.
4 more of them. Yeah, they're hitting them pretty hard. So, I actually had. I'll talk about this in a little bit. I'm working on a video now. I did an interview with a mod for a very popular cheat reseller. And so we talked about this stuff with him and kind of what their side of it is. But, way back when they went to town with engine owning, right? And they took engine owning to court, they charged them with RICO charges, right? Racketeering. And basically what that says is that, well, your conduct is not only are you violating, our intellectual property rights and other civil things, you're doing it as an organized crime. Right, you are conspiring with other people to defraud the public and damage our product. Was their case. And the case went so well for engine owning that their lawyer quit midway through, and then their lawyer quit midway through, and then what did they do? They just walked away from the case, and so they won by default on the merits, right? Like they won on the merits of the case, which is a very, very big deal. Like and what it does is, I mean, it's not like Supreme Court precedent, but it does in the Ninth Circuit here in California set a precedent of, well, you know, there are, you know, RICO charges, like it is now racketeering, you know, a criminal racketeering case, which is what they use for the mob, right? Like that's how they take on the mob. And it's that for cheat making. Like if you make and sell cheats, you are part of a criminal conspiracy, right? And so they're handling it civilly right now, you know, and they could make this go bigger down the road, but you know, it's a big deal. And what they're able to do is they're able to use those charges to go after people, you know, in pretty much every friendly country. So before, cheap providers would just live in Europe and it would be no big deal. And then they could just, you know, they'd launder the money through the Cayman Islands or some other bullshit. And it would be and you know, they'd be like, what are you going to do? Right. We'll just, you know, they were being fought with essentially copyright infringement was what they were being attacked with, you know, traditionally. So it'd be kind of like if, you know, you file copyright, you know, somebody steals your content, you file copyright claims on YouTube and YouTube kills the channel, they just start a new channel, right? Like that's the process. That's what's happening with cheats, right? So they could only take down domains. They could only take down some of these things that were US based on the principle of copyright, and they just create new ones. Now, what the win in court on RICO charges that was never appealed, right? They never fought back. So they just, you know, capitulated basically to it. It means that everybody else now can be charged from California because Activision is California based, right? So they're here in California, so they have to follow California law, which means everybody else has to follow the applicable laws when you mess with Activision, which is terrific because California loves litigation. They love it when you sue people.
And so what they've done over there,
what they're able to do is they're able to take the same basis that they charged engine owning with, and they can target everybody. They are serving, you know, before it was all electronic, you know, they would just like literally, you know, contact the service provider and the service provider would disable the website and no big deal, right? It was literally no big deal. They are delivering papers to the door. In case you're wondering how aggressive they're being with this, they have officers of the court knocking on people's front door and being, you've been served. So these guys that are getting these legal notices, it's not the same as it used to be. And that was a big critique, that it would be rinse and repeat, right? They're not doing that anymore. So it's interesting and this is a point people bring up. They talk about how engine owning is still operational, which it is. It's still up. Engine owning is based in Russia now. They used to be in Germany and Switzerland and Norway and I think Great Britain. They were like scattered around Europe. Those people all got handed papers, right? And RICO charges because cooperating countries like Europe, like they don't have a choice. They have to respect these charges because this isn't some civil like bullshit. This is legit. Like RICO is legit. And that's part of international agreements of like, you will support your law enforcement will support us in delivering these. Like you aren't going to hide criminal activity in Europe for that. Russia doesn't give a shit, right? Like they're obviously, right? Hello, Ukraine. But they have to either move to Russia or disavow their assets, which is what happened with engine owning. Engine owning, they sold everything. They got rid of everything. Like the people in charge of it, they're all gone, and they sold it to agents in Russia. Okay. So the people that originally started it, they don't have anything left to do with it. And everything that they have done that's not Russia based has been shut down repeatedly. Like they have lost so many Twitter accounts. I think I lost track. It's 9 Twitter accounts that were just demolished by Twitter because they would just get taken down immediately. Every non-Russia based site taken down, payment processing all has to go through Russia. Like it's you know, it's not something that people will easily be able to adapt to anymore versus before, where it was just literally like, okay, you took my page down, I made a new page. In fact, I probably had 8 backup pages ready to go, and I just redirect, told all my clients go here, and they all just lived in their Discord like it was no big deal. Discord doesn't support this. Discords are being shut down. Telegrams are being shut down. Like, they're having to take a lot of steps, and a lot of steps that involve not being in the Western world. Not be, they're having to go to like the third world to actually do this stuff anymore. And this is a very different experience than we've had before. And it's because Engine Owning lost their lawsuit so decisively.
It was the first domino, man. And you couple that with what we're hearing about what's going on internally with the anti-cheat department and hiring a new developer and maybe leaning less on AI, those kind of things. I mean, are they ever going to be able to completely eradicate cheating? No. Anybody that says that they can or expects that they should or will is fucking delusional.
They're wrong. You're just wrong.
It's never going to happen. But, dude, I got to tell you, last night I saw the most blatant cheater.
Oh, last night was terrible.
The most blatant cheater I've ever seen in probably the last since Caldera. And you know me, first and foremost, I play devil's advocate. I don't always accuse everybody that kills me of cheating and this and that. So we're fighting over at Pop-Off, and I see this dude's name pop up in the feed because I think he killed or downed one of our teammates. And his name was Cum, C-U-M. So that right there was my first indicator. I said, that guy's probably cheating right there. So then I killed him. Actually, I ended up rotating up on the roof, and I killed him while he was fucking with my guys. So I killed him. He types in chat, J007, I'm coming for you, blah, blah, blah. And I got on the speaker. I'm like, fucking bring it, you cheating bitch. Like, because I knew he was cheating. So then I look at his calling card, his emblem. So first of all, he's level 43 or so, something like that. Like original, not into a prestige. Nope. Original. But you know what he had for his emblem? The #1 World Series of Warzone. Or number one ranked, and then he had a World Series of Warzone calling card. So unlocked.
So he's cheating.
No, it gets worse. So then he comes back, and I died, but then I respawned somewhere else, and I was trying to go up the hill towards that mill camp. This fucker beams me out of the sky from Pop-Off, and so I spectate him, right? And I'm literally watching him jerk from one to another, like he had
the
balls
next 2 weeks are going to be terrible. And look, I think a lot of people are in the cheat developing world are very concerned about what's coming. They
should be.
They don't know what's coming, but there's a lot of concern about it. And with Activision being very aggressive legally, I think I think a lot of people they're aware of it. And there was this person I talked to had a really interesting attitude on it. And he's kind of in a weird position where he's one of those ones who cheats because everybody else cheats, right? Like that attitude, which I don't know, like, it makes sense, right? Like, I don't agree with it. I think it's not an attitude that I agree with taking, but it's one of those things, you understand it, right? It's like baseball, right? Like everybody is juicing. So if you're not juicing, you're put yourself at a disadvantage sort of thing. Then everybody remembers 90s baseball. So Barry Bonds and all that.
It was the most fun era of baseball to watch.
Right. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, I understand it. I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I understand where that attitude comes from. But he was saying, like, people are just at it right now. Like, they're just so angry. There's so many people that are so angry at the state of the game in all kinds of ways that they're just like slam it to full bore and have at it. And the developers are just like, we don't care anymore. Like, they're not sure if it's, he wasn't sure where 100% where that attitude was coming from, but there was definitely a lot of that, like, you know, everybody's doing it. So if I'm not, you know, why am I trying to play legit? And then on top of that, you have, you know, developers just trying to squeeze as much money out of everything as they can before things change dramatically. And there's some big concerns that there's been some major breakthrough or understanding of like how developers are breaking the anti-cheat. And so if that is, you know, if there's been some, you know, some upheaval in that and like their main ways of breaking it are being cut off, then, you know, it puts them in a bad spot. So they're, you know, getting what they can out of it. But I think we're going to be in for it. And he was saying so I'm doing a video on it. I haven't gotten to it yet. I was telling Jay this yesterday. I still haven't hit like what I want to say about it. Cause I've taught, I feel like I've beaten cheating to death in this, in my content. I don't want to be like, you know, I don't want to be the, you know, that the one trick pony where it's like, all I do is talk about cheating. But, you know, there are a lot, the number of cheaters has been an uptick, right? And the number of players is down dramatically. And so I think as a result, we're seeing, you know, they're out there at a way higher, like there's not a huge dramatic increase in the number of cheaters active, but there's a huge dramatic decrease in the total number of players. So the ratio of cheater to player is higher than it should be.
Well, and I'll tell you, so again, I'm not one of those that thinks everybody that kills me is cheating. I don't do that. I know sometimes I just get shit on and it just happens, right? But I'm questioning stuff a lot more than I probably ever have as far as like the legitimacy of how things, like I had another guy last night and I'm thinking the only way he could have done this was because maybe he had good audio. But like I watched this dude, like he's up on like a rock outcropping and I'm below it. And he's fucking ADS tracking me through the rocks. Like, so I'm like, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm not going to say 100% that guy was cheating, but that kind of behavior does seem a little sus to me. But, you know, when I was playing with Lizard and stuff like that on Saturday, I got accused of running walls. Bro, I'm fucking, what? Come on, man.
I mean, I posted that one where somebody accused me of cheating, right? Yeah. Like, he was yelling through prox chat, "You're a cheater." And I'm like, there's zero chance like anybody would accuse me of cheating legitimately, Adam.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, there's no trust in the player base, and rightfully so. Like, rightfully so. There's no trust in spectating and players. And I think it's one of those things of like, you know, I think it's one of those reasons the shadow ban system is so broken. Like, there's no trust in players. There is no trust in players, and there should not be. Right now, there's no reason to trust anybody, right? Like, if you go down, if you just look at like numbers wise right now, I think we're in a really bad spot because the player base is so down. You know, and that'll change when, you know, no matter what, that will change when Verdansk comes, right? Because we'll have a huge influx. So there will not be everybody cheating, but there's trust won't be there. So Activision needs a huge splash with the anti-cheat. They really
got to win there. They have got to fucking win there.
Yeah. And they have to push it to the point where cheaters are much more fringe, and they have to be much faster. Like Valorant's big asset with cheaters is that they cancel the fucking game and they tell you who cheated. Like, they tell you they canned someone for cheating, and they were like, "Yeah, they were cheating. Game is over. Try again." And you can't cancel a game of Warzone, right? Like, it's not like, you know, you're going to kick 149 people out because one person was caught cheating. But, you know, they need to do more than, you know, they need to make the ricochet thing obvious, like put a banner, not across the middle like every other banner is, get that shit up at the top, but it should be just like right where the compass is. Username kicked for cheating, but not have a shadow ban. Like the shadow ban, like kicked for cheating, get them out, ban them immediately, and like and get rid of this whole like shadow ban thing. Because if
I agree. Sorry to cut you off. I agree with you. The shadow ban thing is fucking stupid because too many legitimate players get caught up in that. Like,
It's
You know what I
mostly
mean?
legitimate players because,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to say that. It is a lot of legitimate players because they just get reported constantly because there's no trust in it, right? Like, dude, I played a game last night and it was unreal how many people knew where I was when they had no business to it. They had no business to it. And it was like, there was one where, we were area 99, I think. And it was like, I was in a warehouse and, I'd come in. It was one of the big warehouses. I came in on one side of it on respawn, ran through, got some guns, and then hopped up on a box next to the door and sat there for like a minute because I was trying to like wait for everybody else to get to me. And I didn't want to go push out because I knew there were teams kind of in the area. On the kill cam, no UAV is up, no portable thing on the ground, no heartbeat sensor, right? So he has nothing there, and his teammate is behind him. Okay? It is behind him. He runs, slides through those doors, and look, in a square room, there are 4 corners. 4 corners someone could be in. I'm not running around, so I'm not making noise. And he guesses my corner and is pre-firing as he comes through the door.
Yeah, that's fucking
Like-
wild, dude.
And it's not even
crazy
like
shit.
it's not even like he could have come through the door and seen me on the other side of it and went for me because I was next to the door. So he had to come through rotating and sliding, like coming through, rotating around and attacking that corner specifically. Like, I'm all for like giving the benefit of the doubt and like the whole, and it was one of those things. And I think this is something that I talked to with this guy of like, because cheaters are all using the same stuff. They're all VPNing. They're all like trying to get to the good lobbies that they end up in a concentration. Like you end up with a lot of guys in the same lobbies, right? Using the same software. Because that lobby was just, everybody knew where you were. Everybody knew where you were like that. It was like that the whole time. And everybody in our squad was running into it. Like we were all getting shit on in the same way. And it was like, there's a difference between someone who's just better and someone who has information they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And I think when you run into those, and it's like, we ran into like 1 or 2 guys throughout the night that was kind of like, you shouldn't have known what you know. Like you knew where I was and you shouldn't have known that. And you were like, and you were just good. Like, okay. 50-50. There was one that was there was one guy like yours, like he was a level 40 undone. He had camos he shouldn't have, like, and he knew where everybody was. And, he did eventually get shit on for the win. Like he didn't get the win. He got shit on by a 4-stack, which, is one of those things of like, cheats don't make you invincible. Like you still get killed because, guys stack. So, but it was like he was pretty blatant.
Well, I mean, I killed that cheater last night because I rotated and got to a power position and was able to fucking kill him. But I got to give props to his teammate though. His teammate was in text chat saying, "Hey, everybody report come because he's a cheating piece of crap." And like it was a constant thing while I was spectating. This dude was like, "Report this dude, report this." Like,
and
so I got to give that
teammate?
guy props. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he was
Nice.
like, "Dude, you're a piece of shit." And so then the cheater, I think he may have ended up buying him back, but like he fucking went to the buy station and then bought, I think, only 2 of the teammates back and not that guy. Like, so I think there was one other cheater on that team. So I think a lot of what they do is they'll go into quads and just duo quads with squad fill on, so they get like a couple legitimate players to play on their team or whatever. But yeah, if I'm spectating
like
that shit, I'm doing the same goddamn thing, dude.
It's like, you run into it. And it's just like, it's so infuriating when you, and I do think that they are the concentration, they just end up, a lot of them will end up in like the same lobbies. And he was like, the guy that I was talking to, like you would see him have like, he would sit there and he'd be like, "Oh, this guy's cheating." And it was like, and I'm like, huh? And it's like, he sees me. Like, I know he sees me. I can tell he sees me and I see him. Like, and it was like that kind of like acknowledgement. Oh yeah, there's guys sauced in this, and it's it's sad because the player count is so down, but the cheaters haven't gone away. Like they haven't moved on to another game. They're still here, and so they're a lot more frequent than they should be statistically.
Yeah, that's just the ratio, right?
Yeah, the ratio is just off. So there's a lot more of them in the games right now than there should be, and there have been in the past. Like when BO6 dropped, right? Like I think the cheating numbers are same number of cheaters, right? Or similar number of cheaters, but there were just 5 times as many players. So you literally didn't see them as often as you do now.
Yeah.
So it sucks. It sucks because it just ruins the whole experience of the game.
Yeah.
When you run it, and it's like when you run into one in a game, and he said this. So this is I thought about it, and I think he's right. One cheater doesn't ruin the lobby because you team up. If you're running solo, if it's solos, whatever. But if you're running like a squad and you stick together, like one cheater you can kill. You can kill one cheater if you got 2 or 3 guys. And you aren't all idiots, like running around alone. But if it's like, all right, this guy's sus over here, like let's sync up and like get at him together, like you'll kill him, like you'll get him.
Well, and you know why I knew that guy was cheating before I even saw him play? Because you could tell he clearly didn't give a fuck. Look at his name.
Well, yeah,
like,
and it's like
stuff
that gets through, the cheating, like the moderation and stuff.
Yeah. And I think you're right. Like, it's when they team, but like, dude, I've never seen and I don't even know how to describe it. Just the tabbing between like fucking targets and the snapping. Switching. It was like, fucking hell, bro.
Well, the way it works is like, so they have, so there's a field of view of the cheating of the cheats, right? Like, so like, so there's the rage mode, right? Like the spin bot mode where it just like spins you 360 and just automatically shoots everything it sees.
I don't understand the point of that.
But the other ones, they'll have like they call it a field of view, right? So like imagine a circle drawn in front of you, right? And you can make that circle as big or small as you want. When it's big, right, it will automatically attack like the next target,
anything
or the closest target within that field of view. So if you have it set like 180, right, then it's like everything on your screen, everything in front of you, it will target, right? And he was demonstrating that to me, and it was funny because he lost gunfights because it would toggle between players, where it would be like there's a player 40 meters away that he wants to shoot at, that is shooting at him, but then a player 30 meters away within that circle pops out, and it will snap to him because he's the closer target.
I bet there's programs where you can dial that in to where you can prioritize.
Well, you shrink it, right? And you can set distant, like there's settings in it, but it's kind of like, but you have the problem of the game doesn't like, so like the game, like there's no way of determining like who's an actual threat, like in terms of like their gameplay. It's all about distance and action, right? So like if they're not visible to you, they're not a threat.
Sure.
Right. But if they're visible to you, they would be a threat. And then depending on distance and like other criteria, right? So that's why players will, the players who are good at it and hiding it, they'll have a very small FOV, right? Where they'll know someone is there, but it won't pull them off of who they're shooting at. Unless there's 2 people like right next to each other. And aim assist will do that too, right? Aim assist will bobble between targets unintentionally for you. So
yeah, it's interesting how those cheats work. I mean, I've never really done a lot of research into it because I just don't really care enough to do that. That's not well, I mean, honestly, dude, it's not really like it's not what I do, if that makes sense. Like, it's not something I'm good at. It's not something I do. I don't get as nuanced into some of these things like you do. So that's what's great about you doing what you do. So I just, I wanted to make sure I pointed out that, we talked about this over a year ago when all this stuff went down, and you were the one person that was saying that this was going to be a big deal. I play with people who are like, yeah, fucking, so what, whatever, just more will pop up. It's never enough, Eeyore, fucking, that kind of attitude or whatever. But I mean, like,
which is a well-deserved, well-earned attitude. Like, it's not like, look, we spent the first 3 years of or first 2 years, all of Verdansk, literally with the game being, their anti-cheat was, it's not fair to cheat, so could you please stop?
Yeah.
Literally, that was their cheat. That was
But
their anti-cheat.
My point is that if we're going to criticize the failures and stuff like that, let's, praise the wins. And that's 4 of those.
We're not winning yet. It's not a win yet. It is a, they have started fighting. They have finally started fighting is
You
where I
gotta
will
win battles before you can win a war.
You got to decide you're going to fight the battle. Like
Well,
they have decided to fight the battle. I will give them that. They have started to fight.
But how many of these cheat providers, as well as the distributors, have shut down though lately? I mean, I think it's
they're fighting. Like the Activision is finally fighting and not just. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like as I've said in a video I did a little bit ago, like they basically took the approach of we're just going to let AI do the work. Like they literally took we're not going to deal with the fact that we don't pay our employees enough. We are just going to replace them with kiosks to order, right? Like that's our solution to this. And everybody just said, cool, we're just going to walk behind the counter and take the money out of the register anyways, right?
Yeah.
And now they're saying, well, we're going to put, if you try to walk behind the counter, we'll call the cops on you. Like we're kind of at that phase, which is still better than it was. It is an improvement, and you are correct. We have to acknowledge the improvements, but we have to be realistic about where we are.
Agreed.
Right? We are not, and I think we will know where they are, where the battle is and how engaged they are with what they tell us about the anti-cheat and what they're doing, and then what they deliver. Right? Because they've told us before, right?
First 2 weeks of Verdansk, we're going to know.
Yeah, we'll know. So it'll be interesting. And the first day, it's like, it's going to be interesting.
Of bugs, dude.
Yeah.
They don't have a good history, and I said this on Twitter, like they don't have a good history of rolling out something this large without there being bugs. So I expect there to be some issues. Like that's why like all the Call of Duty like is back and Warzone is saved things. Like I think that's a little silly to tweet that, especially because we know damn well there's
I think it's great for engagement.
Well, yeah. Or I just got off a Discord call with the Ghost of Hope. You won't believe what's going to have the community in shambles.
Oh, those are everybody's trolling. Like nobody's taking that seriously. Like
no, I actually got in on that once, and I copied and pasted it. And Xanthus is like fucking messaging me behind the scenes, like, "What do you know, dude? What do you know?"
And I'm like, you know what I know because I copied it, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was like, bro, that's a copy and paste thing. I was just fucking around and was bored.
All right. Look, we usually don't talk to chat, but Jordan is giving you the business over here. It's as serious as Raz being a Marine.
I was not in on that fucking joke, dude, and I still feel like a goddamn moron. And I'm curious if he told that story to fucking Tanner for some laughs, because I'm sure he would get like I'm kind of literal in a lot of ways. So it's like, all right, well, cool. Because I mean, I know a lot of people that serve like in the community.
No, yeah, so it's fair. And
I just felt like a moron.
It just stems from you just don't take anything he says seriously. And then you can sort out what's real and what's not later.
But let's recap that. That episode was fucking incredible. Like
I had a great time.
He is such a great like personality. Like I listened back to it and it was funny. He's funny as fuck, dude. Like, and I love how passionate he gets passionate about that shit like I do, and just goes on these fucking tirades that are just incredible, dude. Like,
yeah,
it was a really great
zero
episode.
Fucks given.
No, he don't give a fuck.
I will say I'm disappointed I don't think we got to talk about the CDL thing.
Oh, I know. I'm fucking.
We never brought that up.
Too. Well, if we get Tanner on with him, we'll definitely make sure to talk about that.
Bring it up
like,
for
I
sure.
think we definitely need. I want both of them on.
That would have been fun to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. But yeah, I'm going to Sunday. I'm going to the championship Sunday of the CDL Major 2. So,
yeah, that's right. Has Optic kind of turned it around a little bit?
They won a couple matches the other day.
Okay.
So yeah, they brought in a new AR. Kenny kind of stepped back, and I mean he was having a rough go of it, dude. I think one series his KD was like a 0.3, like that, which is extremely low for him. I mean, but let's remember that guy's a 2-time world champion, like recently too. So very good player and everything. He's just having a rough go of it. And, sometimes a team will gel on one game, but not gel on another game. It matters. You know what I mean? Like going game to game, it just matters. So they brought in Skies, who played for the Subliners. He's a world champion as well. So I'm curious to see kind of how it goes. He said if they actually win that major, he's going to take his shirt off. So I'll be there for that. And if he does, guys, I'll get a photo and throw it up. But anyway,
see that.
We got to wind down, brother.
Man. I know you got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. We had a late start with technical issues, but hey, you haven't had a problem since we started. So I think we kind of know where the issue is, but I'll talk to you about that offline. Yeah. We'll get you squared. Hopefully next week we'll have a banger episode. We've got some guests kind of in the pipeline coming, so it's going to be fun.
Hangout Friday?
I think we're going to try to do a hangout on Friday night. So keep your eyes posted for that. We'll have announcements later in the week. And then we'll be on the fast track to Verdansk. So I think we have one more episode, and then we will have a review of Verdansk. So we will, 2 weeks from now, we'll have a very interesting episode to talk about, a lot to go through. For now, we're just still in the waiting. We're still in the waiting cycle. So we will keep the pattern full and keep it going from there. If you have not already, please do go ahead and hop over and drop a follow over on our Twitch channel. SAAG Podcast is the username. We will, of course, link that in the episode down below. Thanks for everybody who jumps in and watches us live. We appreciate that as well. And we're going to catch you all on the flip side.
Later.
This has been Sub One Kitty, along with J007 TV and the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. We're logging off now, so we'll see you next time.